Right then, everything started. Right then, so we haven't done anything really like this for a long time. In fact, we probably haven't done anything like this since Barnsley's been started. So we've obviously got Bean with us, who's made her 100th appearance recently against Notts County. We couldn't really get anything done in between that because we had multiple games left, right, and centre, and we're up and coming to the next home game where we're going to hopefully try and celebrate your 100th game. So, hi, Bean.
Hi, Unit.
Hiya, you're right. So, all we're going to talk about today is your favourite moments at Barnsley. We're going to have a couple of questions about what's your ideal five-a-side team. I think we're going to do two. So, your current five-a-side team and your overall five-a-side team. I know you joked earlier about just having a team full of Jodies, but obviously for this purpose, you can't pick the same player twice. And then we're going to create the perfect Barnsley player based on some attributes that I'm going to fire off at you. So, how does it feel to reach 100 games for a team? I know it's quite a hard feat nowadays to play 100 games. How does it feel?
I think it's a proud moment. Obviously, if you look back, it's been 4 years. I've played in every single game bar 4 over the last 4 years. So I think to get there, it obviously shows commitment, determination, and I just think it shows how much I love being there, obviously, because it wouldn't be the same, would it, if I wasn't there? So, yeah.
I think that'd be true. I don't think I'd be able to not spend a day at Barnsley without hearing your voice or hearing you go, "Unit," or something like that. So you've obviously mentioned that determination stuff, but is there any secret ingredient to playing 100 games for the same club? Is there any secret ingredient? Is there anything that you'd, if we were talking to a person who's wanting to be in the club, say for example one of the ETC, what sort of things would you suggest in terms of like commitment to the cause, sort of skills?
Well, I think it's cliche. I think the biggest thing for me has been the people over the last 4 years. Obviously, I've made some of my bestest friends. Still, if they're there now or not there, I still speak to them all the time, still see them, still in contact with them. And then obviously we've got the party in a week. So hopefully we'll see some of them there. And that's been massive for me. I'm a very people person, aren't I? So I think that's what did it for me. Obviously, when I first started, I had Lo, absolutely adored her and wouldn't have wanted to play under anybody else. I think Gaffer's now has changed that. I think obviously having that respect for him and with him and obviously speaking to him all the time, I think that's massive as well. I've obviously had clubs in the past where I've not really got on with the managers for whatever reason. I think being a keeper is hard because you're either playing or you're not. But I just think some of them didn't have the respect. At one point, to be fair, I was going to quit until I joined Barnsley. And I think if you speak to some of the other girls, they've had past experience with that. And I get questioned a lot of the time, like, why are you there? And I think it's because I enjoy it, because of the people. And I think it's one of them things in football, isn't it? You spend a lot of time there and with the people. If you don't get on with them or like them, I don't think you're playing your best football and you're not enjoying it. So I think that's been one of the biggest things for me because of the people. I've enjoyed it. Obviously been there for 4 years now, and I wouldn't change it for the world, to be fair. So yeah.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head in terms of the enjoyment of the people. I've also only been here since probably August. And
July. You've been here since July. Don't panic.
June. Yeah, you remember the time
Unit.
End of season do. Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh yeah, actually, you're on that.
Yeah. Anyway, I officially started working like a part of the club since like August, September time. And I think you give yourself a lot of people credit, but I think you should give yourself a lot of credit. Like one of the reasons that I stick around and the reason why I'm still here is obviously because of the people. But you're a big part of that. I think it's always nice to walk in to see a smiling face. It's always nice to know somebody actually cares that you're there. I'm not.
Depends if we win or lose.
no pity party there. But look, you're right. I think just from my experience, I think the group is what makes half the battle. You don't always have to be. You'd rather be successful. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't have to always be successful because you also need to have people that can bring you up when you're down, when you've had a bad game or you've had a bad day.
One of our better seasons, and it sounds really stupid to say, but when we was nearly relegated, the togetherness and how we were was so much better from when we were winning like game after game a couple of years ago, and now obviously like we've hit the nail on the head. I think the group that we've got this year is second to none. And like we said, we do spend a lot of time together going, obviously, Tuesday, Thursday training, you're together literally a whole day on a Sunday. Like, we'll always spend time together after the game. Like, we'll go to the pub, we'll go for something to eat. And then obviously we've had a lot of socials that celebrate a lot of different things. And the majority of the same people are always there. So we do spend a lot of time. And you think about in the week as well, you are speaking to the same people all the time. And obviously, like I've said, you wouldn't change it for the world, because they then become some of your closest people and your bestest friends, like within football and without football. So I know some of mine have obviously, like we've said, I've been there for 4 years, have been probably seen me at my highest and lowest. And yeah.
Yeah, so I now can't make the excuse of saying that I'm not turning up to an event, because I've already used that. It's like Boy Who Cried Wolf, just randomly turning up. It's happened 2 or 3 times now, so I can't really say it. It's either a no or a yes now. I can't say maybe.
There's not even there's no's not an option, is it, unit? So
no, it's not really. Just got to show your face, and yeah, we're all one club, we're all one unit. I know that's my name as well, but we're all one big happy team and squad and staff and stuff, and it's really nice that we can have that sort of professional relationship, but also at the same time let your hair down and really get to know each other in a obviously in a friendly way and stuff like that. So yeah,
I think it comes out though, doesn't it, when we're out together? Obviously our socials do involve drinking, but we have got quite a younger squad this year, so we've also done things that haven't just involved that. And I think you start to see people's true colours, or who they actually are, because obviously when we're in football 24/7, it can be quite intense. You're all focused on one thing, like you're looking at the next game. And then sometimes it's quite nice. Obviously, our next social, we don't actually have a game that weekend. So Steve will be happy. But it's not as intense, is it? And you can kind of speak to each other about normal life, because you're probably on a Tuesday, Thursday, you come in from work, people are eating in the car, etc. People are travelling over an hour to get there, and you probably can't even have a normal conversation because you're straight in, then we're training, then you want to get home. So I do think that's one of the reasons we do get on really well this year. And obviously it's not started how we wanted it, but it's potentially picked up in the last sort of couple of months.
Yeah, we've had a really good 3 or 4 months since probably November time, really, where we've really kicked on, and I think each player's held each other accountable. I think obviously manager Craig has put targets on you, which we won't discuss because it's not part of our chat. But you've reached a lot of them targets because you've put each other. You run through brick walls for each other. That's what I see anyway. It feels like it doesn't matter whether it's rain, shine, cold, wet. I'd rather it be warm and sunny, but you'd run through brick walls for each other, and you're in there to pick each other up, which is amazing to see. And it's part of the reason I absolutely adore each and every one of you, and I love being involved. But let's talk about you, because it's all about you. So you've been here 4 years. Do you remember your first game?
Yeah, I do actually.
Tell me about your first game.
It's probably the one that I'd want to forget the most out of my 4 years.
Okay.
I think it's one of them things, isn't it? You come into a new club, you're trying to prove yourself. And I remember passing it to the striker twice, and I thought, I'm absolutely never going to get played here.
Who was that against?
FC Manchester.
Oh, FC scum.
FC Manchester.
Sorry, I shouldn't say that. Yeah. Oops. Sorry, I'm a Leeds fan. I can't.
We put that out.
We're not editing that out. That's staying there. Sorry. So, obviously, we've talked about your first game. Obviously, your 100th game, Notts County. Again, probably one that you'd love to edit out the last maybe 5 minutes of the game, perhaps.
Yeah, it's potentially, to be fair. I think they made, obviously, it was probably my best 5 minutes of the game, but then we ended up conceding 2. But again, it's one of them things, like we've said, we know our goals for this year. And we were all very disappointed not to get the 3 points, obviously. But it's not our main focus of the year, so we didn't dwell on it for too long. And then hopefully we'll make the next one better, because that's our official celebrations, isn't it? But obviously Notts County, you couldn't have wrote it being in my hometown with my whole family there for my 100th game.
Yeah, there were some amazing photos. I saw the photos; they were really good of you and your family. It was amazing. I was gutted not to be there, and I was panicking when I was on the tube on the way. I nearly cried. I didn't, really, but I'm just going to tell everyone I nearly cried. Right, so I know you've already told me your top 5 moments, and that's going to obviously be part of the socials for the. But if you could only pick one moment from your entire time at Barnsley, what would be your standout moment from yourself as a captain and as a player, just generally?
It'd have to be St James's Park at Newcastle. Again, we didn't get the result we wanted, but just the occasion, the atmosphere, the fans. I still think it's one of the record fans so far. I did get abused after, but I took it on the chin. But I just think, obviously, we went down the night before. We all stayed in the hotel. We had dinner together. One of our favourites was chair yoga. I think that will live with every single player that was there for the rest of their life.
Explain chair yoga for me.
Chair yoga, we basically had a line of chairs where we were stepping over them. We were doing like high knees over them, getting our legs. It was activating us for the game. So it was
That's class.
Very weird, but like I said, it's a memory that will live with us all forever.
What were the changing rooms like?
To be fair, they were quite small, it was quite small, and you could hear, like, obviously there was 27,000 people there or something. You could hear like a lot of things, but one of the weirdest things in the game was like loads of people said to me after, could you hear like loads of people shouting things at you? And I was like, no. And obviously I'm quite loud on the pitch being captain. Obviously at the time I wasn't, but I was still loud anyway. And I was trying to shout things to people, like instructions and whatever, and they couldn't hear me. But I think that helped me, like, not block out the sound, but I generally didn't hear anything that anybody was saying. And I remember one of the moments, one of them was like, Bean, are you nervous? And I just said, not really. And there was like, why? Like, honestly, I'm so nervous. And I just said, because if I'm nervous and I'm behind you and you're nervous, then that's going to make you 10 times more nervous. And if the ball comes to me and I'm nervous, and it's going in the back of the net. And we just can't afford to do that.
I think that's one thing that I think you've brought since I've been here is you're consistent, and it doesn't matter where you're playing, whether it's home, away, whether it's grass, whether it's 4G, whether it's 3G, whether it's under lights, whether it's 2:00 on a Sunday. That level of consistency, you train the same way, you play the same way, you're the same you're vocal in the same way. It's almost like you have your routine and you stick with it, and it doesn't matter whether you're in front of 80,000 or 80. Obviously, it's good that you don't get to hear people. From what I gather, just based on what I heard from Notts County, there were Huey, Dewey and Louie again at it. If I get to see Huey, Dewey and Louie again, they're all over Twitter, by the way. I put them all over Twitter, but if I get to see them again, they won't be getting special treatment at the OLP. Let's just say that after what they did to you. But yeah, look,
I do think it's one of them things, though, isn't it? I think a lot of people, unless they know me, like, I am confident, but I think people overlook it as like I'm overly confident, which is absolutely not me.
No, I use the word consistent because I just think you're prepared, always prepared.
And I think, like we've spoke about before, being happy in an environment, that's where I thrive best. So it might look like I'm showing off or whatever, and it probably does to some people, but that's when I'm playing my best football. So if people take it as I'm showing off, then so be it, because if I'm playing well. And I think I used to put so much pressure on myself, and like I've said, being a keeper, you're either playing or you're not. I've been quite fortunate at Barnsley that there's not, for the last 4 years, I've been number one. But I still don't think whether there was someone else to come in, it changed how I was or who I was, because it just add to that. And I'd do everything to keep my shirt. And I think, I've always said it, I could get away with a lot. So I could get away with potentially not training, not doing X, Y, Z, but I don't do that because that's not me. 2, I'm captain, so it's not setting the right example. And 3, like I've said, and we go back to it, but the people, like, you want to be there.
Yeah, I think you take on a captain's role within the team as well, and I think it's clear to see that in terms of holding people accountable, and you hold yourself accountable as well, which is always amazing to see. But let's get into the fun side, right? 5-a-side teams. So we'll start with the current. So you've got to pick. You can choose whichever formation. I know there's only really maybe 2 or 3 that you could do in 5-a-side. Obviously, you're picking yourself as keeper for both. So we'll eliminate the keeper for both. So what I want is, we'll go previous first, actually. So of the players that you've played with in the past, who would be your dream five-a-side? Bearing in mind you've got to play. It's a different game to 11s. You'd have to pick people who are suited to 11 to five-a-side. It would be easy to pick 11 aside. It's always more difficult because do you pick a target? Do you pick a target woman up front, or do you pick somebody who's nimble?
I feel like so many people are going to be so upset with me when they watch.
Don't worry about it. If anyone wants to blame anybody, disclaimer: it's me that's asked her to do this.
Yeah, let's blame you.
Come at me, and I will ignore every message that you send.
I'm going to be quite smart about it. So, like current, well, there's only about 5 of us left anyway that have been here throughout my 4 years. So I'm going to save them for current. So Pat, I'd have to go Shazza.
What's that? Sorry.
Charlotte Stewart.
Yeah. So how would you play that? Would you play 1-2-1, or would you play 2-1-1, or would you just play 4 people just to play all over the place?
I'd just play 4 people wherever they want to play. I trust them.
Yeah. So Charlotte Stewart.
Now
why have you picked Charlotte Stewart out of interest?
With Shaz, she was very reliable. I need to be careful of the word I use because I was going to say old, but she'll be upset.
Well, it's going on socials anyway.
If you needed someone to create a moment or pick people up or just be there, like she's very consistent. Although it's quite old now, so Shaz would always be there. And last year was unbelievable for us, and obviously the end of the season was a massive loss. So yeah.
Who else would you pick then? Your third player.
Third player. Oh, it's quite difficult. I'd probably have to go MP. The goal she scored.
Emily Pierpont, isn't it?
Yeah, the goal she scored for the club obviously was the first one to get 100 shirts. Here, like I said when we spoke about our moments. Like my favourite moments, one of them being Newcastle her goal. There's no stopping them. So I think she's scored me lots of goals.
And then your fourth player?
Go Court. So Court's very technical. One of my best mates. Would give you 110% every week. And she'd just run around the pitch like a crazy woman. So
I'm assuming Court would know who Court is. Because I don't know them players.
If Court doesn't know who Court is, then there's something wrong. And also can attack and defend. So if I'm playing everywhere, she can go wherever she wants.
Yeah. And then your fifth and final pick. This could obviously, depending on who this is, you could end up getting messages. But again, disclaimer, come to me. Most of you don't even know me, to be fair.
This could be difficult because last year I'd go Katie, but you could now class Katie as in my current squad. But I think
where you want to pick. Which one do you want to pick her for?
I think I'm going to go for Katie.
Right, okay.
I'd like to put her more in defence. Yeah. Again, like Shaz was reliable last year, consistent, would get ahead on anything, would just always be there. And obviously I keep quite a few clean sheets last year, thanks to her and Jodie as well. Perfect. And Big Eve. So, yeah.
So I
don't think the would really go near me if...
So to confirm, we've got yourself in net. So I've put you both. You're in net for both, obviously, because it's your era. We've got Charlotte Stewart, Katie Woodcock, Emily Pierpont, and Court. What's her name? Courtney.
Just Court.
We'll call her Court. Right. Okay.
You'll know.
If you don't know, you should know.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. So current team. Right. You've obviously made the decision to put Katie in your other team, so you can't pick her for this one. Again, you're doing the same thing. 4 players bound back to back. They can pick the positions where they want to go.
Yeah, go where they want.
And I know who one of them's going to be.
Shall we start with her then?
You can't pick her 4 times. Although she would be, I think she'd be first name on everyone's team sheet, if I'm really honest with you. Let's be really honest.
So I'm going myself then on. I know, just joking. Going Jodie.
Jodie Snelson.
I just don't think there's any explanation needed, is it? Gives you 100%.
No words needed. Would you have picked her for the other team if you didn't have to choose players out of here? Would you have put her in that other team?
I'd put her in any team that I'm ever picking in my life.
I did think you would. I just wanted to ask that question because I think she gets in everybody's side, to be really honest.
If she doesn't, then there's something wrrong, or someone needs to go save us.
Yeah, honestly, she's an absolute
38, 2 kids, what she's been through in life. What a woman. What a
Honestly,
woman.
she's an absolute inspiration. Like, every time I see her on that pitch, it's ridiculous what she can do with a football. Like, honestly, it's ridiculous.
And I think it goes deeper than that as well. Like we've spoke about with people saying things, the amount of times that she's been there if someone's gone through me or someone said something, it's not always politically correct because she just used the odd swear word or gesture, which is on camera. But it wouldn't be Jodie, would it?
No.
I just think, especially with the younger ones going up, so like we've spoke about the ETC and like the young girls coming to watch. If you're not watching her and you don't want to be like her, then there's something seriously wrong.
You're not looking at the way that she plays the game and the movement and the way that she commands space and the way that she just bullies defenders. Let's get into truth. She bullies them. And the fact that she can play anywhere in the pitch. You put her at centre back, you put her at centre midfield, or you put her at centre forward. Doesn't matter where she plays on the pitch. Like,
one of my 4 games that I missed, she went in goal and kept a clean sheet, and I must have had about 9,000 messages off her. I was like, honestly, people are like, are you nervous? I said, no, I'm not nervous because I just know, again, she's doing it for me. I had food poisoning and I was literally wiped out for 2 weeks.
Bless you.
She rang me and she was like, you're not playing, you're not even putting yourself through it. And I said, because it's for me, I promise you now, she'll do anything and everything to make sure we win that game. And we did, and it again was written in the stars. Like, my best mate scored, so Court scored and Jodie kept a clean sheet. She was apparently slide tackling people on the halfway line, but we all know that she's crazy, so
she's awesome. She's awesome. Right then, we've got 3 more positions, so next one.
So then I go Maisie
Nord.
I just think, do you want me reasoning?
Yeah, go on then. Yeah.
The way she's been this year, I think she's very consistent. Probably one of the first names on the team sheet every week. Very reliable, always there. And I think it's me and her, isn't it, that have played every single minute of every single league game.
Yeah,
I just
ever
think
presence.
It speaks volumes for itself.
The fact that she even delayed a trip she was going to Edinburgh to go to New York. She delayed a trip to come play a game when she should have been in Edinburgh, and she managed to arrange all that around going to the game. That speaks volumes, and it's similar to sort of what you're saying about the dedication stuff across the piece. Like, I see a group of you that are just I know majority of you are dedicated every week, but there's a you don't play every minute without giving something up.
Yeah.
And she has been very consistent, and she loves a tackle, which I quite like. So yeah, you've got 3 then. So last 2.
Then I go Miss, to be fair.
Misty. Engine.
Do you want to give her a real name out?
No, we'll call her Misty. We'll go Misty Russell. We'll go Misty Russell. Unless you want to tell everybody.
I'm not having that argument with her. No, thank you.
No, it's Misty Russell.
Yeah. Unless you look on the FA website and then it's not Misty.
Yeah, but if you want to check the FA website, that's entirely up to you. But I think just Misty.
I think what we spoke about, how she's been, well, all season, to be fair, but especially these last couple of months, I think she's really grown into it. The fact that she's had 4 years out of football, I don't think you would be able to tell.
No.
The way she's come and settling into the squad, and I know I used to take the mick out of her, but the way she's scoring now and assisting, and she gives you 110% every week and probably does the running for about 95 people. I just think that work rate in a 5-a-side team is gonna.
I think you need it in 5-a-side. You need players who can just run all day. And if you've got someone like Jodie who does run all day, don't get me wrong, but if you've got Maisie and Misty doing the running and you've just got Jodie doing the magic and then you've got in net, do you imagine that in 5-a-side? Like, just.
And to be fair, I think, and she did play it just before Christmas when we played a 5-a-side tournament, if I do want to run outfield because I'm feeling like quite funky, she were quite good in goal.
Was she?
Yeah, and I never thought I'd say that about her ever in my life. But
disclaimer: if we need her, we need her in net.
Really upset me to tell her that she was quite good in goal. So
I'll swap with her. Your 5th and final player.
I think I'd go for Big Eve.
Eve, yeah, she could get in both. To be fair, she's been here a while. Yeah,
been here at the same time. To be fair, would header me everything. You're not getting past her. We'll put her body on the line. And especially if it's against the team she doesn't like.
I agree. I think she's one of the nicest people I think I've ever met in my entire life. But when you put her on a football pitch, the niceties go away. But then as soon as she's finished game, she's nice again.
Give her
It's
a
like
pint.
she zones in for 90 minutes, like she's completely locked in. Honestly, one of the nicest people I think I've ever met. Like genuinely, like she's awesome.
I think she's so underrated in Big Eve.
Oh, honestly,
like you
unreal.
wouldn't. She's always there, but I just don't think people talk about her enough. Do you know what I mean? So
no, I agree with you. I mean, she's had a fair amount of airtime through socials because I notice how good she is.
I think she's one of them, isn't she? She's not overly loud, which I probably am. She's not overly quiet. She's in and around in the middle. I think she's the same with like Nathan Mays, but will be consistent every single week. Like, is always there. And I think sometimes them sort of people and players go under the radar, aren't they? Because not that they're not bothered, but they just don't really want the attention.
No, and you need players like that. You need a group of players that are going to give you 100% every week, solid 7 out of 10 every week. They're reliable, they turn up every week, they give absolutely everything, and let the people who like to be vocal be vocal. Genuinely, like that. Sometimes you need players like that, because if you had 11 vocal players, there'd be absolute hell. And that could cause a lot of problems. You need that balance between players that are going to be vocal and players that are going to listen. And then if something's going wrong, they'll say something.
I think we've probably, and that's probably one of the better things that we've got this year, haven't we? I think we've got the age group is probably, we've got some really old ones, some really young ones. And I think, like what you've said, we've got the mix of loud people that will help hold people accountable, people that won't really say much, people that will speak. So I think that it gives you a perfect balance, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't recall many real issues this season in terms of clashes. And usually get squashed quite quickly. And if they don't, they get squashed like within minutes. And I think that's partly to do with you as a captain. I think that's to do with obviously Craig as manager. But I think the fact that you've just created all of the players as well have created an environment that holds each other accountable, not afraid to say something, but at the same time, it's nothing personal.
No, and I think you always have it in football, don't you? You're always going to have your people that like, and to be fair, I probably struggle this year because you're always going to have your best mates, like, and I have, but you don't. It's not as clicky. So I think that's sometimes what you find in football, where 3 or 4 will go and do something together, 3 or 4 will go and do something else. And I think we have that this year. But that doesn't then cause a problem on a Sunday or a Tuesday and a Thursday. Yeah. Like, obviously people see each other more out of football, but I think one of the biggest reasons for that is we all travel.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest things.
Yeah,
but
I get that.
Like I said, I don't think it doesn't cause an issue. There's no cliques in the team.
No, there isn't.
1% in for each other, and you're always going to have them couple of people that you speak to more or see each other more.
Yeah, that's just natural.
It is what it is, isn't it?
That's just natural. If it were up to me, I'd just speak to Jed more than Craig. But obviously, Jed don't like me. He does. He low-key loves me, but he just don't want to admit it because he's a Chef Wednesday fan.
To me as well.
Yeah, but look, it is what it is. I think
and then I'm his best.
But look, it's impossible to be best mates with everybody. All you need to know is that if they need you, you're there, and that speaks volumes of the person that you are. But we're going to end on one last thing. So I want you to create the perfect Barnsley women's football player, and I'm gonna go through 4 or 5 different attributes. So I'm not just going to go like head, body, arms, legs, because that doesn't make a footballer. But what does make a footballer is stuff like reactions, pace, agility, footwork, shooting, defending. So if we're to make a perfect player, and I'm not being funny, I know that you're possibly just going to go Jodie, but you can't use Jodie more than once. That's the rule. Right. So football intelligence.
Wait, so have I got to pick someone from the current squad?
From someone from the current squad, and we're going to make the perfect Barnsley. We'll pick the perfect Barnsley box-to-box midfielder. Let's go box-to-box midfielder. So they've got to have defend. They've got to be able to defend and attack. Okay. So we'll go football intelligence.
Probably say Dem.
So Demi Barai is your football intelligence.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I just think she sees a lot of things that some people wouldn't. Like the ball she plays, sometimes I'm looking myself thinking, how has she played that?
Yeah, she's made a couple of decent passes for assists.
Yeah, I think my favourite one was Worcester.
Is it the one that Liv scored?
Yeah, and she comes on and she literally ripped a defence, and I thought...
She also got 2 yellow cards in her first 2 games. It's always worth that. Don't want to mention that. She cost us like 20.
Big up, Demi.
Big up, Demi. Right. Heading.
Big Eve.
Big Eve, yeah. I don't think there was going to be any decision on that. Right, so we'll go passing.
It's quite a hard one, that, isn't it?
You've already picked Demi and you've just talked about her passing.
Yeah, true. I'd probably give it Maze. I think she's quite simple, isn't it? But effective. And obviously she's in a position where she can't really afford to give the ball away a lot, and obviously doesn't.
And her crossing this season's been pretty good, to be fair. I would agree with that. So we'll go... It don't matter if I agree with it or not, you've picked it, but I agree. I'm just agreeing with you because I like to agree. Shooting.
Jodie. Or Laura, to be fair.
Are you going Jodie or Laura?
I feel like Laura on a dead ball, 100%, but Jodie's finishing this season. Obviously, she's top goal scorer.
Hashtag Jodie Snelson scores goals.
Can I just go from both?
No.
Can they have like half and half?
I was going to go, the next one's going to be physicality. So that'll give you a bit of an understanding. So it depends on who you want to pick for physicality.
Okay, so let's give Laura a shooting.
Yeah. Are you going physicality?
Jodie.
Jodie. First touch.
I think you go someone like JJ, Jemima.
That's a really great shout, to be fair. Her first touch is very, very good. Right, so next we'll go defending.
Let's go Lou McCready.
Lou McCready. Why?
Again, similar to Eve, we'll give you 110%. Always there when you need her. And she'll do similar to what I've said about Demi. She'll do some things, and I think, how has she got there?
Oh, there's been a couple of times where she's like seemingly behind the player. You're thinking that player's running through, and then she just gets there. Right.
And I think the thing with Lou is she doesn't look it, but that girl's at the gym all the time. She's very, very strong. I will give her that. She's very strong.
She is strong.
So to her
she also,
physicality. But...
if I don't say the word slay now, she won't forgive me. If I post this on without the word slay, I'll just get told off.
No, you'll lower 10 shots at the next social.
Yeah. So agility or pace. We'll go pace.
See, it depends what else you've got coming up for me. This is my problem.
So I've got one more, and it is engine.
Okay, so that changes. So pace I'll give to Liv, but I feel like Maisie won the running, so Maisie's probably going to be upset about it.
But Maisie would probably prefer to be in for a passing rather than a pace. She's good at both, but actually, do you know what? She's a midfielder and she's a good passer of the ball.
Liv.
So Liv's the pace. So who's your stamina?
Missed.
Yeah, I had a feeling that was going to be the case. I don't think you can pick anyone else, to be really honest. She's just up and down all day.
I bet she's knackered on a Sunday, let me tell you, bless her.
Honestly, Monday morning when she goes to work, especially if she's working away, which she does a lot, she must genuinely, her legs must be on fire, because I am more tired watching her than I genuinely get tired watching her.
I loved it. Do you know if Steve got us, which we're probably not going to get, but the stats vest, she must cover. Honestly, God knows, bless her, how much she covers on a Sunday.
It's that saying, in it, 95% of the world is covered by water, but the other 5% is covered by Misty Russell.
She's going to love that. That's
love that, by the way. That is a great comment.
Let's tell her she can get that tattooed.
Right, I'm going to end it obviously on you. So that's obviously the last parts of like the questions, but I want to end it on you. So what are your hopes for the rest of this season?
To be fair, I think obviously we're in a predicament where we're not going to get relegated. We're not going to win the league. So I think now our main focus is probably setting up for next season. It's no Well, I don't even know what the word is. Like, it's no joke that we didn't have a good pre-season. Our pre-season probably was the first 5-6 games into the season, and that's not to make any excuses for how we started the season. But I generally think, like, if we got a few new players added to the team, and I think it has to be the right people, because like we've said, our environment is very, very good. Obviously, you get to the end of the season, you're always going to lose a few because of life commitments or age, etc. I just think if we add a few more, then this season really is about building for next year. We're not really in a position where we want to lose anybody, because like we've said, because of that team dynamic, everybody gets on. I think it would be not detrimental, but I don't think it'd be the same if you left or lost any one of our 20, so to speak. And I think that involves some of the 23 players as well, because they've been a massive part of the season with us. And obviously that's one of the things that I wanted to change, getting probably captain this year and taking it on fully. I wanted it to be a one club approach, and I think obviously from the first social out, we've done that. And I know we've joked about it before, but some of the 23s are the first on the list on a social. I don't plan a social without Katie McCready.
I mean, we can't mention a podcast
without.
We can't mention this video without mentioning Katie Mack.
Exactly.
I mean, she'd tell me off if I didn't. I'd get a message like on Instagram saying, "I can't believe you've not mentioned me," especially when I've just absolutely heightened Lou McCready as well. The fact that I've heightened her sister, she'd be like, "I can't believe you've bigged up my sister and you've not bigged me up." You're right. There's a lot of the 23s, and I think Bram's in that as well. Bram's part of that group. There's 3 or 4 of the 23s that turn up every week. They come to watch the home games and away games when they're not involved and when they're not playing.
And we make them take photos.
Or you make them take photos, but the photos were class. So, look, there's a group of them that are committed to watching the club and coming to support the club, and that shows a commitment, but it also shows that passion and that sort of drive as a group. And it was nice to see a few of them getting game time, like yesterday as well, playing for the first team and stuff like that. So
I think that goes on to it, doesn't it? So I think this year is just about enjoying it, trying to keep as many people for next year as possible, probably looking at next year. Like, I know me and Craig have already spoken about it, and focusing on next year. And then obviously we have got the County Cup to play for, obviously progressing to the next round. And I think that is one of the things that I've probably been missing over my 100 appearances, and last 4 years we've not won anything. So obviously last year we did dream the dream that it was going to be that year, and we started off unbelievably. But I think it's kind of been a flip this year, hasn't it? So we didn't start off that well, but I think one of our highlights from this year would have been Northampton a couple of weeks ago. Like, everybody wrote us off before the game. Like, some of us probably wrote ourselves off, and I think that was probably the pinnacle of our season, wasn't it? The way we played for each other, the way we ran for each other, the way, and again,
everything went well. Everything was brilliant.
Everything, you couldn't have asked for any more from that game, could you?
No. And I think you're right. I think just from me watching, I think 6th position is probably fair across the entire season that you've had, but it isn't a reflection of how good you are as a team. I think it's a reflection on the season you've had, but it's not a reflection on the ability or the real drive that the team can have. If we'd have had this team with this fitness, with this commitment, with a pre-season in hand, and we'd have started the season with the backroom team we've got and everything that we've got available to us now, I don't think we'd be far off that top 3. And I genuinely mean that. I genuinely, because I think we can compete with the best. We were unlucky in both games against Peterborough.
We're better when we're the underdogs and there's no pressure on us.
We were unlucky put us
against a team where we should be winning on paper, and I think sometimes, not that we overlook it, but I think we kind of get stuck in that trap of, oh, we should win, and then we start to panic. Whereas Northampton, I just think there was no fear, and people just played freely, and I think that's when we're at our best.
I'd say you were unlucky against both games against Peterborough. You were unlucky. You got shafted by keeper, and I can say this because I'm not part of the staffing, so I can't get fined for it. You were shafted by ref in both games against Notts County, because that first game, that's never ever a goal, the last minute of the game. So, and then obviously this game, it sounds like the ref played, and I'm only going by what I was told, should have played 8, played 10, 12. You should be playing 12 minutes of any time.
100th appearance, make me play 100 minutes, didn't he?
Yeah, I wanted you to play 100 minutes for your 100th game. But you've done Bold. You beat Boldmere the second time, but you're unlucky to not beat them both times. Leafield, smash and grab in second game. First game, obviously, first half, you battered them. Second half, you were poor. But obviously, that was at the start of the season. That was the first home game of the season. Yeah, I think there's a lot more from this squad, and I think you're right. It's the harmony of the squad, balancing it versus having a team that's capable. And look, if you can get a good pre-season, dare I say, Steve, if you're watching abroad, it'd be absolutely lovely. Take us to Arizona.
I've heard America, but I think I think going back to what you said, it's because of the age range in the squad. I think it's been football's little moments, isn't it? I think there's been games where we can look at the decisions that have been made, etc. But I think it ultimately comes down to us. Notts County, we shouldn't have put ourselves in a position where we played 100 minutes,
you're right.
125. I think it's them little moments, which obviously, again, like we spoke about, will take us back to next season. If we learn from then and how it felt, then it sets us up in a good step for next year.
You're right, and hopefully we'll both be enjoying that, and I'll be able to spend more time just abusing fans on Twitter. No, I don't abuse fans, just certain ones. Louis, Dewey, and Louis from Notts County. I've got to make a special mention to you again. Stop abusing football players and start creating songs that actually are in tune. They're always about a second too late with a song, so they'll bang the tune and they'll start chanting. But the chants.
To be fair, they did sing a good one when we played them last. I think Forest went 1-0 down to Exeter, and they were singing "Forest, what's the score?" I did have to laugh at that one. That was a good one, to be fair.
So anyway, that's it from in terms of the questions and stuff. It's been really amazing to listen to your stories and stuff. I know we've already got your 5 top moments. They're going to go out on Instagram and possibly Facebook if we can get Facebook back up and running.
Whoever's hacked the Facebook, please give it back, because Steve's going insane.
Can we have a Facebook back, please? But yeah, the plan is for us to put that on social, so we're going to have that as a countdown into your top moments. Dare I say there should have been a 6th one, meeting unit for the first time, but we've all got problems. Yeah, I'm not adding that in because that's just very vain. But yeah, we've got your top 5 moments. We've got some other surprises that you already know about Bean, but we don't want to give it away too early. Hopefully this will go out on Saturday. This is the plan, Saturday morning, for us to go out, and then we're going to have a hashtag Bean over on Sunday.
At least we're not upsetting any Bolton fans, eh?
Oh wow! And I'm not being funny. D from Boreham Wood, if you're listening to this podcast, bore off. We don't use the BWFC. Maybe you should. It's not patented by Bolton Wanderers Football Club. It's not. If anything, you're using our hashtag. So get over it. We'll leave it at that. Thank you for your time, Bean, as always. I know that you train twice a week, you play, and you've obviously got your day job and stuff like that. So it's much appreciated that you've given up the time for this, but hopefully it'll look good on socials. We'll try and I think the plan is to put it on some sort of YouTube. Either YouTube, we're going to definitely put it on Reels, but it depends if we can put 43 minutes on Reels. If not, it's going to go on YouTube. But yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, Unit.